All right, guys, welcome back to the Walleye Files, presented by Striker Brands, Walleye Nation Creations, and Lake Effect Lures. Today, we've got my good buddy Dan Harper with us. We are going to talk some tackle today. We're going to talk some plastics. Dan, how you doing, bro?
Good. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, dude. We've spent the last half hour on the phone trying to make this work, and now we got it working. I'm pretty excited. Um, you know, we're going to talk something that you are very, very good at. This is your wheelhouse. This is your bread and butter. This is how you won some cash this year. Last year, it's kind of a technique that we've kind of really defined down a little bit over the last couple of years. So why don't you start?
All right. So as far as starting with like pitching jig and plastics, that's what we're talking about. So if you watch the Elite Series and all those guys, throwing jigs and minnows is a big thing. So you and I have been working on this the last few years, trying to figure out the right baits, heads, lines, rods, reels, all the things that go along with that. So the last couple years, that's been the deal. Things that have been working lately for me, tungsten heads are very important, at least as far as on the big open waters. So typically here, I'll do this program from anywhere from 6 out to like 60 foot. When you get a little deeper, there's a lot of current. So trying to get the right heads to kind of get the bait to the level, all that stuff matters. So tungsten is important. As far as tungsten heads go, a couple of companies that I have a lot of faith in. So there's the VMC Redline tungsten head. I really like that one. Queen's Tackle is another company that I have a lot of faith in. Really good heads, really good keepers. They show up really good. Both heads show up really well. If you want to do something else, there's also like the VMC Tungsten Moon Eye. And if you don't want to go tungsten, there's also, Northland has a bunch of heads like the Smeltinator and a bunch of other different ones the guy can go with. The nice thing about a couple of these style heads, just as like a quick side note, especially since this year, it's the time of year we have all the bugs coming off. So like the Tungsten Moon Eye, the VMC one, in my opinion, is probably the best for keeping a crawler on a hook. That broadhead keeper, yep, exactly. It holds plastics great. It also holds a worm really great. So if you're just trying to get into the game and you don't want to really go too crazy in a bunch of different heads, this one really will cover a couple of different applications for a guy. You can get an eighth out to, this is a 3/8. That's about as heavy as I go. So it works really good for a few different things. So that's the nice part about that. Again, like the Schmeltnator's got a really good keeper on it, holds a crawler really good. Going from there, let's see, up till probably a few weeks ago when we started having the bugs, this was probably the best one for me on Lake Erie. And a lot of guys were talking about it. Those post-spawn fish, especially in the Central Basin, were definitely feeding on baby sheephead, little shad, baby white perch. I can't tell me walleyes had just choking up little like 3 and 4 inch baby sheephead. This is the Rapala mooch minnow in their yellow kind of chartreuse white. That color has just been dumb. It's been dumb since last October. It was dumb all winter. It's been dumb all spring, and it continues to be dumb. That little thing has accounted for a lot of big fish. The nice thing about this is there are definitely times on Lake Erie where I'll throw 4 up to 7 inch plastics and you catch really good fish. But sometimes they're getting pressured a lot or they just want something a little smaller. This is like always is on a rod. It's a great starting point. It'll let you know what they're kind of feeling and it'll catch you fish. And it just has a lot of movement. The little pintail back there, it just does a lot of the right things. It fits. This is on a queen's head. It fits really good, like I said, also on the VMC Redline. Those are 2 great heads for that bait.
I like it. Yeah. We've talked about that. Guys, we talk tackle probably 4 days a week. And the next one is something that Mr. Harper actually introduced to me not long after we met. And I've got, let's see if we can see it, make it focus or not. But again, on that same VMC style head, but I've got a Z-Man jerk shad, incredibly durable bait. Similar profile. It's got that low, that minnow type profile. It doesn't stop moving. It's very durable. You can catch 30, 40 fish on this single bait. And there's not an application I feel that that it's not able to be used. I can use it in the springtime in the river. I can use it open water fishing, open water strolling, like what Dan's talking about. You can use this in the fall, late fall, early winter on Lake Erie. Open water is fantastic. Shallow rock, it's fantastic. It's just a great all around bait. And again, like I said, it's as durable as it gets.
Yeah, I would agree. The Z-Man actually have one here as well. This is the 5-inch in their schmalk color, I believe. Or I'm sorry, this is Bad Shad. To that point of the elastic material in this. So, like you said, super stretchy, super durable. The uh, the 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 Mooch Minnow and the Freeloader are also made out of very similar materials. So you can really put on those, put a bunch of fish on those baits. The nice thing about these stuff like the Mooch Minnow, the Freeloader, as well as the Z-Man Jerk Shad, is that the Elastex kind of creates a little bit of neutral buoyancy, so these baits want to float. So you can really play with your fall rates and then your actions in the bottom. I fish a lot of plastics in the rock, and I think sometimes you get those little angles where the bait will kind of come along for you. So that there's a lot of different characteristics in, like I said, the Z-Man as well as the Mooch Minnow that'll give you some different applications or some approaches to different types of fish in different areas to help you kind of figure out what's going on better.
Yeah, I agree. My next plastic, we talked about durability, and it's the same thing. It's one of those super long, elasticy, really durable baits, and it is an eye candy. I believe this one's just a jig crawler. And this is a bait that I discovered when we were out on Sakakawea last year. I had a couple of them with and caught some fish on them. Again, super elasticy, super durable. A little tip here, and I'm throwing this right now. I have this on a Northland tungsten head. Whether it's this bait or the Z-Man, when you have these super elastic baits, it's really important to get this thing as tight to the top of that bait, as tight to the collar, to the keeper as you can get it. So you're pinching and really dragging over the top of that bait. It'll snap back, but you're keeping it really tight to the head of that thing because you want to keep that bait straight. You do not want it to sag one way or another. You don't want a kink in that bait. You're going to lose your action, and you're going to lose the natural look of that bait when you're fishing, open water fish.
Absolutely, I agree. I think to that point, before we go to the next one, since you talked about it, so one thing that I'm pretty particular on, and so what I'll do typically, and we'll just go on to the next one. So this is that VMC Redline head. This is the Drip Swimmer from Berkeley. So just as a general rule of thumb, real quick to what you were talking about. So I'll take my plastics and I'll kind of measure where I want that hook to come out. And everybody knows about this, but so we'll rig one, get it on there true and straight in the middle. And the key is, for me personally, I think it improves your durability. When you get to about here, I'll add Loctite Super Gel. I'll put a little strip on each side of the conical keeper and up the shaft. And then finish your bait sealing, give it 2 seconds. It's going to keep that bait on there a lot more. It's going to give you a lot more fish, especially if they're nipping at tails and doing other things. Just that little bit of super glue on there will definitely help. That Loctite Super Gel, it's a waterproof material, so it won't turn white like the other super gel or other super glues will, at least that I've found. So that's just a little tip that I like to do. Leading into that bait, that is the Berkeley Drip Swimmer. I also have the Drip Minnow. I've been playing around with these this spring. I had some friends do really well in the MWC here on the Drip Minnow. Um, they fall a little slower, so they have a different action, a different fall rate. They do a couple of different things. This bulbous tail, I like to work, especially this goby color in the rock. They've really been enjoying this. And this tiny little paddle tail on the Drip Swimmer is really nice because you could do it doesn't take much to get a flutter out of it. So you can still fish it almost like a straight tail, but you get a little bit of wobble on the back end. And that one's been really good for me this last week, especially in that color. We had came off full moon. The fish were feeding pretty hard on gobies and perch. This looks like a bunch of different things. That's been a really good one.
Awesome. And one more little tip, I'm going to move on to the next bait and to my last bait. And I've got the 4-inch Lake Effect Feisty Fry. I've really done a lot of damage this spring with the 3-inch for smallmouth and nice walleyes in the river. Moving out to the lake, they're keying in on a little bit bigger bait fish, so I moved over to the 4-inch. But again, there's that VMC head, that moon eye that we've been talking about. We really enjoy because, again, multiple different applications. I could throw a jig and a crawler with this head. I can put it on a plastic, multiple different plastics. And what I like to do, Dan, you and I kind of agree on this. We talked about measuring the shank of that jig. I'm going to score that plastic just a little bit where I expect that hook shank to come through. And it's going to give me just a little bit better idea of making sure that I keep that bait nice and straight. So there's our bait, it's nice and straight, perfect. It's not sagging one way or another. It's not kinked, not off to the side, and that tail is just going crazy. Not quite as durable, not quite as elastic as the last couple. Still got great action to it. I really love the lake effect colors. This one's Irish cream. I really like the naturalness of this color, especially in big clean water like what we're fishing. Green Bay, Lake Erie, Alpena, wherever.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The scoring the bait is especially when you first get started. After you do it enough, I show guys how I rig my plastics, and I don't really have to look too much anymore, and it's a quick little deal. But when you first start to get trying to get started into the program, just a little quick score on the backside, on the top of the bait will just help you where that hook's supposed to come out. Gives you a good visual. Make sure you're running it true down the center. That's a great tip for sure. One
Awesome.
more thing, just real quick. So just something that I do a lot here this time of year. Going into the summer, we have a lot of bugs coming off. It's not a jig and a minnow, but it's something probably everybody else really knows about. So just a Ned rig. So this is a VMC, just a mushroom head. This is a robo worm, little 3-inch, just a little Ned bait. The Z-Man TRDs, they're bigger. The big TRDs or the little TRDs, the 3-inch or the 5-inch, the 4-inch, they all work really good. That is just a dynamite bait. Just again, something just to kind of change your presentation, especially if you're in the shallow rock. These fish are really big on bugs. I caught a bunch of big walleyes today that had little 3-inch leeches hanging off the side of their face. So eating these things are in the water. So something like this, there's this nice little variation. Especially for you guys up north where you just have so much different, more creatures in the water than we do down here on Lake Erie. That's just a nice little variation.
And of course, you can get Ned heads at lakeeffectlures.com. Yeah. Dan, what do you throw on these baits on? What type of rod, what action, and what reel?
So as far as rods go, I was playing last year, watching some Elite Series guys. Guys will throw like a 6.6, a 6.3, a 6.5, up to a 7.4. I'm a bigger guy, so I tend to lead to longer rods. I like the Daiwas a lot. I'm a fan of those. I've got a bunch of the RG series. 7-foot medium extra fast, 7'3" medium light extra fast are pretty much my two that I'll go with. Any good softer action rod, or just a lighter, softer tip rod, I think will give you what you want to do. You don't want to overpower these plastics, especially if you're strolling or kind of working as you're shaking the rod and reeling the bait in. If you have a super heavy rod, that bait's going to be just not looking right. So just kind of a nice softer tip, lighter in your hand. You can do it all day. It's not going to kill you. 7', 7'3" are usually my go-tos. I did enjoy downgrading to like a 6.6 last winter when it got really windy, because I was able to kind of control my casts a little bit better. I had less rod out. Or I also learned on the river, if you're in tight quarters, a shorter rod will help you kind of get better control in tight quarters. Usually it's at least a 3000 series reel, 10-pound braid. If I'm offshore on my fish, or usually even inshore, it's 15-pound Seaguar Brazex is usually like my baseline starting point. If I'm way deep, 50, 60 foot of water, I need to get that head down quick. I'll usually do a 10-pound braid to like 10-pound Tatsu or something fluorocarbon of that, just a little thinner diameter to get it down a little quicker.
Awesome. Hey, Dan, we appreciate you being on. We appreciate the Tackle Talk. Guys, if you like the Tackle Talk and other ones, stick around. The Walleye Files on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever else you can get your podcasts. We appreciate you watching.
Thank you, boys.